But I didn't know how many sausages were left in town. So
We're about it.
well, Hillary, our daughter.
Well,
Yeah. Our youngest daughter, oldest daughter lives in Urbana. With our grandbaby. What year did the furniture?
it sold out in 87.
And I sent Maurice that. I've been in touch with yeah, it's very rich. It's very cute.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it does. Because some of the we're getting a lot. Trees we're getting a lot of interest, and also we had like buried up in that. And then we have also where it is. So
Yes.
but this area is all popular.
Weekdays till
I knew you were gonna ask.
that is still part of, I think that's still part of my plan.
I don't have my food permit, but I can tell you. Yeah. Well, that's why I asked. Every time I
That's sort of ridiculous.
traditions.
Know that when before we expanded, easier to process on the same location. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, I covered that. I thought.
Discussion.
So it's not just a great. We have fun enough. What's the time, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Get that off. After this, we'll get that off.
Yeah, no, this is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I stand solid. It's a very expensive part of it. Yeah, mine.
Hi, David. I'm sending. I'm fine. How are you? Fine. How are you doing?
I was shocked to see you with your hair.
Oh, yeah. During COVID, I said. Well, I grew it out too. Yeah, you grew it out longer.
Why don't you go sit down?
So I get double this. I do. That's what I told her. You won't be paying for this. I told her. Dale. Well, sorry. Well, that's all. That's it.
It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm not a big. I visited. I told her I get a double this. Sitting in the car.
Yes, welcome.
You haven't changed it. No.
Whoops, sorry.
Yes. I know.
last 8 years.
That's it.
I see a car there.
I'm gonna go read it the deli.
They're doing great.
Well, she had a good life. You know what?
See what happens nice for us?
She had a good life. She's a good family. I mean, it's sad, but in a way, you have to celebrate. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah, well, we have our blessing down there, because this was all we had. Yeah, we didn't get our life. There we go. It's good. Bad folks to sell them.
We got it. We were in, not last summer, the summer before, when everyone was still. Europe.
I was gonna put Zoe on the side of the anybody. It's my reporter.
I actually have photos myself.
I got it. Sorry, let's switch a room. It's hard to
We still have some seats up here for those who would like to come and be seated. You can. For the rest of us, we can move a little bit closer. We don't have to stand so far away. We gather this afternoon as we remember Juanita Silberstein. In our service, we have a task to do, a holy task. Our task is to accompany her soul. As we do, we'll invite those of you who are by the seats, if you would like to be seated, you can. The Hebrew word for funeral, if you look in a Hebrew English dictionary, you look up funeral and it will give you the word levaya. And that's the word we use for funeral. But if we look at the source of the word levaya, levaya actually comes from the verb to accompany. And so we come together today to do a sacred task, to accompany Juanita's soul. As her soul makes its journey from Olam Hazeh le'Olam Haba, from this world to the world to come. We do so by words of nechama, which means comfort, words that we find in the book of Psalms and some other sources as well. We do so with hesped, the Hebrew word that we usually translate as eulogy, but it also means to take a lesson from someone's life. And finally, the third part of our service, kavura, which means burial, as we say our final burial prayers. We begin with some words from the book of Psalms, from Psalm 16. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid. Ki mimini balemod. Lechein samach libi v'yagel kibudi. Af b'sari yishkor levetach. Ki lo ta'azov nafshi lish'ol. Lo titein chasidcha lerot shachar. Todien yorach chaim. Sovas machot et panecha. Ni'imot b'mincha netzach. I have set the eternal always before me. God is at my side. I shall not be moved. Therefore, my heart exults and my soul rejoices, because my being is secure. For you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful ones see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. When we come to the moment of the burial of a loved one, we exist in a time where our hearts are torn. The Hebrew word for torn is kriya. But it's not always apparent to the world that our hearts are torn, because when a loved one dies, sometimes we cry, but sometimes we laugh. Not inappropriately laugh, but laugh because we have a beautiful, wonderful, joyful memory. And that memory puts a smile on our face and perhaps a chuckle in our throat because we have that beautiful, loving memory. And so we created a tradition of kriya, of tearing of clothing, and in modern times as well, a ribbon. It says to the world outside, my heart is torn. Even if I might, for the moment, have a smile on my face. And so, come to the moment of kriya. As we tear the ribbons of skin. Dayan. The words that Cindy and Debbie and Nancy have recited, Baruch atah Adonai Dayan ha'amen, praised are you God, the one true judge. Words that we say that as we come to moments of grief and try to figure out answers to questions, the first answer we find is that God is that true judge that finds that time of life and of death for each and every one of us. From the 144th Psalm, more words of comfort as we say, Adonai ma'adam v'te'atehu ben enosh v'tichashvehu, Adam lehevel dama yamav ketzel over, Baboker yatzitz v'chalaf ve'erev yimoleh v'yavesh. Adonai, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to return to dust, saying, return, O mortal creatures. If we were wise, understood where we are going, for when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They are the ones who will have peace. Of all the words of comfort in our tradition, perhaps the most familiar are the words of the 23rd Psalm. We hear its words now in Hebrew and in English. Adonai rohi lo echsar, v'nodeshe yibitzeni, al mei menuchot, yinahalei. Nafshi shoveh, yancheni b'magle tzedek, b'magle tzedek, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צלמוות, לא יירא רע, לא יירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. ישנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי. ישבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. We read the words of the 121st Psalm. They begin with the words, Esa enai mehaharim. I lift up my eyes to the mountain. I think that when most people read these words, they can't have the perspective that we do. I imagine when King David, or whoever it was that wrote the Psalms, was sitting in the Judean hills and looked up to the hills and called the mountains, and perhaps also spent some time in the north of Israel and looked up to Mount Hermon and the other mountains in that range. That those who sit in New York or Los Angeles or maybe Austin, Texas, might not imagine looking right over there and thinking that when this psalm was written, maybe the view looked something like that, truly lifting up our eyes to the mountains that look over us as we sit here today. Esaina el hehali me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim ve'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? Maker of heaven and earth, my help comes from you, Adonai. God will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. We've read ancient poetry. We read something from the modern Hebrew poets as well in its English translation. The Hebrew poem is called Leidah Hireshit. Its words say this: birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. But life is a journey, going and a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health and sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not in some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, an aliyah kedusha, a sacred pilgrimage. Leidah Hireshit, birth is the beginning, Fira Tachlit, and death the destination. But life is a journey, made stage by stage, from birth to death, l'chayei olam haba, to life everlasting. In the book of Job, the very first chapter of the book, Job cries out in his despair. He says, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Shem Adonai mevorach. God is given, God has taken away. Blessed is God's name. We often ask a question when someone we love dies. Why? Not a worthwhile question. We always ask, why now? Why so young? I know she was 90, but why so young? Why not 92 or 96, or as we say in Hebrew, our expression, our famous Hebrew expression, ad 120, to 120. Maybe there was another party to attend, another birthday or an anniversary or something to celebrate. Maybe there was another meal to share. Maybe there was another lesson to teach. Maybe there was another family event to celebrate. Why at this time? Why at the tender young age of 90 years and 6 months? And we ask these questions, and frankly, I don't like the why question, because it's difficult to find the answers, if not impossible to find the answers. But let me give you some different questions. What? What did Juanita teach me in the encounters, the time that I spent with her in my life knowing her? I see people shaking their heads answering the question already. How? How did she make the world a better place because of the things that she did? Where? Where did she go, and where did I go on that journey with her? These are questions that we can answer. We tell the story of a life. As Job says, Adonai Natan, God gave. God gave a life that inspired every one of you here. That taught you lessons, that brought you love, that brought you friendship, that brought you family. As Job said, Adonai lakach, and God has taken away. We sit here as we ponder that moment of loss. And Job concludes with the words, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach, may God's name be praised. We praise God for the gift of Juanita's life. Now I need to tell you, I never met Juanita. Occasionally I see clergy colleagues of mine in various religions, and quite often in the movies, where there's a funeral scene and the rabbi or the pastor or the imam or someone gets up and says, let me tell you about Juanita. I remember when she and I went to lunch at such, and make as if they knew her. But as I was talking to Maurice just a few minutes ago, we figured out that my parents got married 4 years after they left town here in Colorado Springs. So it would have been difficult for me to have met her here or any of the rest of the family here in Colorado Springs. But I've had a wonderful time talking. I got the chance earlier this week to talk with Nancy and with Cindy over the miracle of Zoom, be able to see their faces and hear a bit about Juanita. Talked a little bit with David here, who told me about the good old days when you guys were in high school. That was like 12 years ago, David, right?
Yeah.
14, 16 years ago, something like that. So I got to hear a few stories about her. But the best way for us to share the story of Juanita's life is to invite those who are closest to her to share with us. And so we're going to begin by hearing a little bit from her daughters. We're going to invite Cindy to come up first and to share a few words about her mother with all of us.
First of all, Rabbi, I want to thank you for those new sets of questions that you put in all of our minds, because my wordage here really addresses, I think, the lesson that she gave me, and you will hear a little bit about Mom and her travels, and the word you used was also journey. Mom, we are here to say goodbye to you. You are and will always be admired and respected by those who knew you. You fought the good fight these last few months. You are now out of pain and beside Dad. The two of you had a wonderful life experience for all the unique things you did and accomplished. From traveling the golf courses around the world, to deep sea fishing, to Longhorn football games, your Mahjong group with annual retreats, to allowing a pool table in the playroom so I could learn to play pool. We are always proud to say you worked for Barbara Jordan, one of her proudest things she accomplished. During the Jewish holidays, you would invite college students to our house so they were not alone. Many of those people are here in thought with you today. We will always benefit from your life lessons you taught us. I know volunteering and giving back was always your number one priority. From B'nai B'rith women, sisterhood at the synagogue, to becoming the second female president at Agudas Achim. And Dad enjoyed being called the first man. We know that the synagogue was your home and life. You and Mel Waxler were instrumental in getting the new building in the 1980s done right. When you saw how the wall of the sanctuary was being built, and saw that it looked like a hotel building, you brought the architect photos of the Wailing Wall and insisted that they make it look that way. You and Dad had fun on the car raffles in the 90s, and Dad would see how many tickets he could sell. You and Debbie Camerman took on the passion of the gift shop and helped bring it back to what it is today. I might never save people landing a plane or save a life medically, but I have helped heal people by helping them reacquaint themselves with loved ones or finding family they never knew they had. I know sometimes you would make fun of me for all the time I spent with my genealogy, but due to that, I was able to give you the gift of finding over 150 Mendel family members when you thought the name had ended. As a matter of fact, today, a long-lost family member on Dad's side that you befriended over 60 years ago that I found doing my DNA is supposed to be joining us today. You have now given me large shoes to fill. It makes me proud that at the end of the day, you have given me a purpose that is priceless. I love you, Mom.
I will invite Debbie to come share some words with us. Nancy's gonna go. We'll invite Nancy.
Well, what can I say? You're different for all of us. So much that we never got done. But your love of life. Your first of all, your name was Juanita. Your family knew you as Juan. Your friends in Austin called you Nita. And now that you're beside Dad, the whole cemetery is going to hear him screeching, Nita, Nita. Anyway, I just remember growing up, you're always doing crafting, doing the decoupage, doing macrame, knitting. I think that's you installed that love of doing stuff with my hands in me. Your cooking, you always did large volume cooking for our parties and for on the days. Of course, one year in the early 80s, and the relatives around here would probably be able to attest that this wasn't quite up to your standard. In fact, it was actually the month of all water. But one of your proudest moments and most angry moments with me was I was about 17 and we were making soup, and I walked by and took a taste and opened up the cabinet and put different spices and stuff in and tasted it and walked away. But you came up and you saw me, you came up afterwards and took a taste. And you knew it tasted better. And you were proud that you taught me to cook, but you were annoyed because I was a better cook at that. We've been together. We were together 24 hours a day these last few months. I'm just going to miss you. Thank you so much. realized everybody's supposed to be this person being on an airplane all the time and doing all my announcements and everything. But actually, when it comes to other than an airplane, which I feel very home at, I feel home with relatives. But for me to speak in things like this, it's very difficult. It's very close to both of my parents. I'm gonna miss them both very much. They're always there, no matter what I want to do. From any activities I wanted to try, anything I ever wanted to do as far as flying. They both loved to fly. They both loved to travel. Whenever I moved, one or the other one was always there to go with me. They were both, mom was always wonderful whenever any of the three of us girls moved anywhere. She was always in the car, helping us. She was always helping us pack up, drive to wherever we were moving to. She was always there for family functions. She was wonderful about keeping reunions going in this family. I don't think either one of my sisters mentioned that, but as far as family reunions with the Sloskis and all, which has been wonderful, which we haven't had one since 2016. That's one of the things I'm very concerned about is now that my mom's gone, as far as we continue having the Slosky reunions that we've had in the past, because otherwise I'm afraid as far as the family not getting together like we used to. I'm hoping it continues. I know my mom would really like to see that continue. I feel very blessed that we had her for so long. And she told me when she went into the hospital, I was made a promise. She was letting me know when she was going to go. When she went in the hospital this last time, she said to me, Debbie, I think this is it. I don't think I'm coming out this time. And I guess I didn't take her serious. Because at that point, she was still talking and kidding and joking around with us. She even looked at my fiance and she goes, I'll lie to her, but I won't lie to him. And they would say, is this your son? She'd go, no, this is my boyfriend. So she had a sense of humor all the way to the end. Always smiling all the way up until she had that last stroke. I know she's touched everybody's heart in this room, or should I stay outside here? She's touched so many hearts. She did so much good volunteer work. She was always there. She never said no. I don't care how tired she was always there for everybody. She was loved, and she's going to be missed by so many people. I love and miss my parents already so much. But I feel like all the good feeding, all the stuff that they did, I feel like their memories will linger on in so many hearts and souls. So that's, I'm very happy about that. And I just want to thank everybody for coming and for hearing. I know she's up above watching out for watching this, and I know she can see everyone here. And I know she's at rest now. She wasn't in pain at the end. She loved my dad so much. And it's all I can say is that I'm really happy that they're going to be together for New Year's this year.
I'd like to invite Juanita's brother Maurice to share some thoughts with us as well. I'm going to start by saying that Nita was always my favorite sister. Since Nita was 10 years older than I don't have many memories of her when I was little. She was essentially a stranger in those early years because she went away to college when I was 7, and she married Joe when I was 11. Despite the age difference, I have always been amazed at how similar we were in so many ways, and at the same time, different in so many ways. We tended to think alike, and many times when one of us would start a sentence, the other would know how it would end. At the same time, she was a complete extrovert, as we've heard about all of the things that she had done, and I'm an introvert. I was, for as long as I can remember, able to share my thoughts and feelings with Nita, and while they might have been boring to others, she always listened. I took many trips to Austin in the summer, beginning when I was 13 or 14, starting with those, which, David, that was 12 or 14 years ago. Starting with those summer trips and continuing through most of my adult life, I got to know Nita very well. The 10-year age difference sort of evaporated
we were extremely close. We were alike in many ways. I have many stories that are based on trips to Austin, as is the case with our family. Many of them are related to food. Surprise. The two foods that stand out the most are hamburgers and coconut cream pie. Lee, our brother, Nita, and I were 5 years apart. Starting when I was 5, our folks started taking formal pictures of the three of us. What started as formal pictures changed into pictures of the three of us whenever we got together. In fact, I was looking around. I don't think I have a picture of Nita by herself. When the three of us were together, we had amazingly good times and with lots of giggling. Didn't matter what we were talking about, it was funny. Our trips to Punta Mita to visit Lee and Barbara were pretty special and meaningful. Nita would fly from Austin to Dallas, where we would meet to take the flight to Puerto Vallarta together. On our most recent trip, Nita had to use a wheelchair in the airport. We thought that would be a problem. Turned out that an attendant met us at the plane and literally whisked us past the line to immigration control. Where other passengers took an hour or more to get through the airport, we were through in about 15 minutes. My memories of Punta Mita feature Lee and me playing gin while Nita sat nearby reading a book. I probably don't need to tell you what a special person Nita was. You've already heard that. I think she made friends with everyone she met. She was generous in spirit. People who met her remembered her. She was so giving of her time and for her care with and for others. She spent an enormous amount of time helping Lee when Ethel was sick. And she helped me when I had a hernia surgery in Santa Barbara. She always knew when we needed her, even if we didn't know it. We all loved her very much. I will miss our weekly phone calls and sharing our lives. She was the best sister I could ever ask for.
Finally, we'd like to invite David Silberstein to share some thoughts from those good old days here in Colorado Springs. David said about 12 years, or maybe 7 odd years ago. So,
Yeah, exactly.
This is the Juanita I knew. We went together in Hebrew school, where we studied with a rabbi who was drunk most of the time.
that wasn't me, right?
Our most fun was in young Judea, when our group would meet with the group from Pueblo. In high school, Juanita was editor of the newspaper. We attended school dances together. Juanita was always smarter than me, and she made more friends. I dated both Joanne and Juanita. Rowena Cohen, Joanne, Juanita, and I were the Jews along with Donnie Lenev at the high school. We three went to the University of Colorado. She left for Texas, where she met her husband and made his life. She made his life in Texas. She was active in the temple, and like was mentioned before, she was at one time a secretary to Barbara Jordan, the famous black senator from Texas. Most of all, Juanita was my friend, a loving wife, a special mother, and may she rest in peace.
Got to hear a few other stories about Juanita as Cindy and Nancy and I were on our Zoom call just a few days ago. learned of her birth here in Colorado Springs on May 16th, 1932. Of her journey to Austin, her work with members of the Texas State House. And even before that, I heard a great story about being in Rosie's boarding house for Jewish girls, University of Texas. Is it this way or this way? I'm from California, so I don't know about the thing. I don't know. I'm a Bruin, not a, what is it? It's a steer, is it? Longhorn. I saw one in a zoo once. That's all I can say. But they told me about being at Rosie's boarding house for Jewish girls. There was a connection to grandparents, to connecting to having her there. And during her years of dating, while she was at UT, she was at this boarding house, and this guy named Jonas showed up. And here's the quote I was told. That I guess she said to friends or parents, right? This is what she told me. That he said, this Jonas SOB keeps showing up and scaring away the other boys. But and he would tell her that I hear you're from Colorado. I know some people from Colorado. The people he knew from Colorado was probably Juanita. But as she grew in life and did wonderful things professionally, she also instilled in her family the idea of volunteerism and taking care of others. Volunteering with B'nai B'rith women, with the sisterhood. She became president of the sister of the president of the shul at Agudas Achim in Austin. I have to tell you, when I was told that Juanita had passed away, I was in Los Angeles. I was at a conference, and I got a text message on my phone from the mortuary in Austin, and I pushed my phone over to the person sitting next to me, Rabbi Blumont from Agudas Achim in Austin, who was sitting right next to me at the conference. And he kind of shook his head for a moment because we knew this moment was coming. And then he whispered to me, so as to not interrupt the speaker who was talking to us there, he said, she was a great woman. And these are the words that we share in our tradition of a woman who is a great woman. The words come to us from the last chapter of the book of Proverbs. We say these words, Eshet Chayil Mi'imtza, Berachok B'knini Mikra, Batach Ba'alev Ba'ala, V'shalal Lo Echsar. A woman of valor, who can find? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband trusts in her, and he has no lack of gain. She does him good, never harm, all the days of her life. She perceives that her work is rewarding. Her candle burns both night and day. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. Her clothing is strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. The words of wisdom, the words of kindness are always on her lips. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you have excelled them all. Certainly words that, from the stories we've heard today, the stories that you all know, words that are certainly fitting to describe Juanita's life. So where do we go from here? We take the lessons of her life and we remember her. But memory is not just about thinking. It's about doing. It's about living the lessons of Juanita's life, so that her name is not just a name carved on a stone here in a cemetery in Colorado Springs. And her memory is not just a story that you share when family or friends get together. But it's when you make a pot of matzo ball soup and reseason it, and you say, Juanita taught me how to make this. It's when you volunteer in the community and you say, you know, I didn't think much about volunteering, But I learned from Juanita that this was an important thing to do. It's about being involved in your synagogue or in your community group or in the government or wherever it may be that you find your place of involvement and say, my sister, my mother, my friend, she was my example for being involved. And that's why I'm involved. I know you never knew her, random person you're talking to, the thing where you're volunteering. But you would have liked her. You would have loved her. And I'm living her example because she taught me how to be a woman of valor, how to be a man of valor, how to be a person in the community who makes a difference. A person who would gather people for Rosh Hashanah, for a Seder, for a vote, for a talk, for a nosh, whatever it may be. To be someone who brings people together, this is truly a gift. How do you best remember Juanita Silberstein? You do it by living the lessons of her life and teaching those lessons to others. We'll ask you all to rise as we recite the words of El Male Rachamim, these words of our tradition. There are traditional mourner's prayer. El Male Rachamim, Shochin Bamromi. Semnucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina im kedoshim utori zoraki amasiri et nishmat zelvad natam shalach leolama ba'al harachamim yastireha beseter knafav leolami Bitzur Achayim et Nishmata Adonai Hunachalata V'tanuach Mishkava V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Juanita Silberstein, who has entered her eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Natan, Adonai Lakach, Mishem Adonai Mevorach. God has given and God has taken away. Blessed is God's name. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar etchem b'tzalmo, v'zan b'chizkel etchem b'tuvo, v'himit etchem b'din, v'natah b'tochachem chayei olam. Baruch atah Adonai Dayan ha'emet. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who forms us in the divine image, who who nourishes and sustains us in your goodness, who causes all of us to die, and who implants within us immortal life. We praise you, O God, the one true judge. Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Rab Lahushia, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Chaye Metim Barachamim Rabim, Somer Noflim V'Rofech Volim Umatir Asurim, V'Monato L'Shenei Afar. Mi Chamocha Baal Giboro Dumi Domelach, Melech Mimi Chaye Umatzmiach Yeshua, Baruch Ata Adonai, Noter B'Tochenu Chaye Olam. Eternal is your might, O God. All life is your gift. Great is your power of salvation. With love, you sustain the living, and with great compassion, you give life to all. You send help to the falling and healing to the sick. Bring freedom to the captive and keep faith with those who sleep in the dust. We praise you, O God, who implants within us eternal life. El Vekoma. Tabo Vashalom. May Juanita come to her eternal home in peace. Kol Omer Kra, Amar Matra, Kol Habasar Chatzir, Kol Chasdo, Katsif Hasadeh, Yavesh Chatzir Mavel, Kirach Adonai Nash Babo. Achein Chatzir Ha'am, Yavesh Chatzir, Avel Tzitz, Davar Elohinu Yakam Leolam. A voice cries out, we read from the words of Isaiah. The voice says, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, when the wind of God blows upon it. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God shall endure forever. In our tradition, we say the words of Kaddish Yatom. We call it the mourner's Kaddish. The word Kaddish means sanctification. And it's an odd concept originally when we think of it, because the rabbi said, at a moment of loss and a moment of sadness, let's say a prayer that has no words of mourning, no words of sadness, no words of death and dying, merely words of praise of God. But really it makes sense that in time of loss, we find our strength to go forward from God. We also give thanks to God for the gift of Nita's life. So I'll ask you to join with me in these words of Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma tivrach yirutei yamdim malchutei. V'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei d'ol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'izman kari yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah b'barach le'olam u'me'almaya. Yitbarach, yishtabach, yitpamar, yitromam, yitnaseh. Yitadar, yitaleh, yitpalal, shmi, yipudisha, b'rihu. Ve'ela, v'po, birkata, v'shirata. Tushvikata, v'nechemata. T'amiran, ve'alma, v'yimru, amen. Yehi shalama, rabba, v'shemaya. V'chayim, aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Say shalom Yivramam, Ya say shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yivru, amen. Our tradition says that we participate in the burial of our loved ones. There are many religious traditions around the world where we give that task to others, the people that we pay a fee to. But our tradition says that we participate in the burial. comes from the idea that, quite frankly, the rabbis of old, who lived those couple of thousand years ago and wrote the Talmud, while they didn't have the modern psychological terms that we use, they had the understanding of the psychology of death. They understood that if we assigned the task to someone else, that we might not grasp on to the sad reality of our situation. We might not get to a point of acceptance. And so the rabbi said to get to that point, it's important that we participate in the burial of our loved ones. In a few moments, we'll invite family to come pick up a shovel or a handful of dirt. And then afterwards, any others who are so moved to participate in the ritual. There are many explanations of things that we do with the shovel. There's one that I found meaningful in my life that I'll share with you. That we take the first shovel of dirt with the shovel upside down. It's highly inefficient on purpose. Because it's a way of saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this task, even though I need to. And so to show that I'm not eager to do this, I'll do it in the most inefficient way possible. The other tradition is that to get rid of that eagerness idea, this symbolic point, after we shovel some earth, place the shovel back in the dirt and don't hand it to the next person. Another symbolic way of saying we're not eager to do this task. Lech yishalach Adonai, go your way. God has called you. Lech Adonai yimach, go your way, and may God be with you. Halech lefanecha tzidkecha, ka'avod Adonai yaspecha. May your righteousness go before you. May the glory of God precede you. We'll invite the immediate family to come and place some earth. Afterwards, I need the rest of you who are so moved to join in this tradition as well. Like the rest of you who are so moved to participate in the burial tradition to come forward, either on this side or this side as well. All those who participated or finished will say a couple of closing prayers.
Start with you.
As we bring our service to a close, say, Yehi Zichronah Livracha. May her memory be an eternal blessing. And I'll ask for all of you to repeat these words after me, first in Hebrew and then in English. Words of comfort that we give to Juanita's family from all of us. Hamakom, Yinachem, Etchem, Bitoch, Sha'ar, Avlei, Sion, Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. May Juanita's memory truly be a blessing for each and every one of you. And as you go forward from this place, continue to share your stories of those special moments, of those special memories, of the lessons that you've learned. And don't just tell the stories of the lessons, but go out and live those lessons. And go out and teach those lessons. And when you do so, you will keep Juanita's memory alive with each and every one of you. May you always find that her memory is a blessing. Thank you for joining us today, everyone.